Hey everybody, it's Romania Black. We are on episode 21 of Haikyuu, and I'm honestly really excited for this episode because I saw a few preview images on Twitter. Nothing spoilery, just showed like a baby Nishinoya and some baby Mia twins, so I'm not freaking out or anything. But I love the Mia twins, and I like me some Nishinoya. He's probably my favorite second year on Karasuno's team, so I'm really excited for this episode. I hope y'all are too. We're in the third set, so when last episode left off, we were at 2-3, just starting out the set. We're on episode 21, so we got 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. Got 5 episodes left of Haikyuu this season, if you can believe it. So I'm so excited. As per usual, I'll be watching the episode and then stopping my recording, going back and reading the manga, then coming back and we'll do a regular discussion and then a spoiler corner as well. So I'm starting to remember some things that have happened in this third set. No spoilers, but I'm pretty excited. So getting to see these animated, I'm ready. So I hope y'all are too. In any case, please see the link down below in the description for the reaction, and I hope y'all enjoy. We are going to start our reaction here to episode 21 of Haikyuu here in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's go. Oh my gosh. Oh, that was such a good episode. I have a feeling ever since last episode with Kita's introduction that it's just all ramping up from here to the last part of the set. Oh my gosh, y'all. There was so much that was good about this episode. First of all, the fact that we got some Kinoshita character development. We've had Narita, we've had Inoshita, and now Kinoshita is our other second year coming back in. And just the idea that he was basically a hero to Nishinoya in this because like Asahi said, he kind of sucks at cheering people up, but Kinoshita has been behind the scenes all during their training, leading up to nationals, saying, hey, Nishinoya, you can do it. Let's keep practicing, and just being on top of that. And it's just so cool to see him come through clutch for his friend and his fellow second year. And even though Kinoshita didn't get the point, he still had a great serve, and he still was there to boost morale. And that was so touching when he walked away to the court and he was about to cry, and then Suga and the others cheered him up. And then the idea that Nishinoya, when he did the point at him, and then they were both like, yes, when he got the point, it was just as much Kinoshita's point as it was Asahi and Nishinoya's. And so it's just so good. And the Mia brothers, oh my gosh, as fighting as only siblings can. I love that they get into these big brawls, and then they're sitting there with their bandages on, just so grumpy. And then, they're like, you want to play a game? Yeah, sure. My brother and I are the same way. We'll fight and argue about stuff and get all hot-headed. And then 10 minutes later, we're like, hey, did you see this video? And so what I really like about this, though, is the setting up of the differences between Atsumu and Osamu. And I think it's so interesting and so on point with the themes of Haikyuu that Osamu, from the start, is set up to be the more talented twin. They set up that Osamu is more naturally talented perhaps than Atsumu, but Osamu doesn't have the drive. He doesn't have the determination and the drive that Atsumu does. Osamu may be naturally more talented, but it's shown that Atsumu is the more competitive and dedicated twin. He doing all the extra practices, doing you notice he does the maintenance like Kageyama does with his nails to be a setter. He does all the work and goes above and beyond to get what he wants and to be competitive and do that. And it worked out for him. It paid off. He got to be the setter, and Osamu kind of just plays, and he plays it off like, oh, I'm going to be a spiker and I can set too, so I'm more valuable than you. But it's so telling that Osamu says, he's like, I just don't like volleyball maybe as much as you do, and that's why you're better at it, and that's why you're more competitive, and you end up getting more rewards from it. I also it's very telling. I like Atsumu's character being set up as he is kind of a jerk. He's arrogant. He's kind of crass and vulgar. Not vulgar, but he's just crass and arrogant. And it's very telling that even at middle school, when Osamu's like, hey, the other teammates don't like you, and Atsumu's like, so? I don't care. As long as you can hit my sets, that's all I care about. And so Osamu puts in the work to try to be friendly and nice. And I think that they rub off on each other because in comparison to the middle school game where Atsumu does not care what his teammates think, then you compare that to the game now where Atsumu's like, I want to serve tosses that all of my players can hit effectively and that work for them. So it shows that development of Atsumu's character from middle school to now as a second year of how much he's grown. And Aran's commentary that it's really Osamu that's been Atsumu's greatest blessing. Like, Atsumu can be hard to get along with. He can be hard to work with. Probably if Osamu hadn't been there, his team would have just he would have been like Kageyama and his team would have been like, peace out. But since Osamu is there as kind of the buffer, Atsumu gets someone that is just as talented as he is that he can be competitive with and feed off of. And I think that's really cool. I like the fact that they knew Aran from middle school, that they've all grown up together, even though Aran's a year older. I love that fact of it. It shows why they look up to him so much and why they're such good friends on the team. And I like seeing the Inarizaki dynamic. I like seeing the friendships between these characters as they compete in this match. We end the match at 8-10, so we still have 4 episodes, and there's still plenty more ground they could cover in terms of all that. So that's really interesting. And I love how this episode ends with Kageyama and Hinata looking at each other, and Kageyama remembering Hinata saying, I'm glad I came here, because he wanted to face someone as good as Hoshiumi. And now Kageyama can say, I'm glad I came here too, because I want to face someone as good as Atsumu. Like that last set where Atsumu does practically, does a squat to get the ball. It's like, oh my gosh, you're in high school, dude, and you're pulling off sets like that. And the Olympic Commission is watching, so they're clearly taking note, I'm sure, of him and Kageyama and both teams. So, oh man, what a great episode. Leading in, I have a feeling these last 4 episodes, it's just going to be... And the animation, I think, was pretty spot on. The lighting and stuff was much better compared to last episode, so... It just took Kita coming in to fix everything, right? So I've got some spoilers to talk about that I want to discuss, so if you don't want to stick around for spoilers, that's totally okay. Thank you all so much for watching. I really appreciate you seeing my reaction. I hope you all enjoyed. Have a great week. Stay safe, take care, and we'll be back next week for episode 22. Can you believe it? Of Haikyuu. Oh, spoilers. Guys, I'm wondering the animation studio, when they were deciding on the pacing of this second cour, if they were like, how are we going to get all these chapters in? Because I got really nervous in episode 15 when they crammed 6 chapters in at once. I was like, holy cow, we're skipping a bunch of stuff. But y'all, just like with the Nekoma match, this was part of chapter 77, 78, and 79. Those 3 chapters is it. Furudate crammed a lot of stuff into 3 chapters, and it followed beat for beat. There was not anything left out. I went back and read and was like, nope, this is all really, really close to the manga and good. I was trying not to spoil this entire time watching, because I was like, oh, this, and then this, and then this, and we haven't got to that yet. I love that we see the announcer, the one that's setting to Atsumu and Osamu in the little training camp. He's a professional volleyball player, and he comes back and is an announcer during the Misby Black Jackals match, and I'm like, ah! I'm just seeing him now and him introducing himself. I'm like, okay, he will come back later, and that will be important. So, yay. Also, the whole Atsumu thing, it makes so much sense why Atsumu is so gravitating towards Hinata, because Hinata is just as competitive and just as wild and aggressively into volleyball as Atsumu is. Atsumu is a volleyball idiot, just like Ushijima, just like Kageyama, just like Hinata, and he is obsessed with volleyball. That's what he lives for. And I almost said it during the episode. I was like, oh, no, don't say it. But, Osamu eventually decides not to play volleyball anymore. He decides to go a different route and do the onigiri stand and the business making onigiri. And Atsumu hates him at first for it, and you can totally see why from this episode, because Osamu's always been there for him. He's been side by side with him and has been his source of motivation for competing and getting better, and has been his right-hand man. And when Osamu says he doesn't want to do volleyball anymore, and that's Atsumu's life, it's like coming to grips with it. Your twin brother doesn't have to have the same aspirations you do. And it's like they're not going to be doing the same sport together forever, and that's so powerful. And it makes so much sense why Atsumu gravitates towards Hinata later on as a wing spiker, because he sees Hinata just as competitive as him. He's like, well, you're not going to replace my twin brother, obviously, but you're someone that I can be just as competitive with, that you're that same source of energy that I need in this competition. And so I think that's really, really important to establish, because then we're getting closer, y'all. We're getting closer to one day I'll toss for you. And it's like, from this episode alone, I'm like, if they do the animation and everything like they did this episode, I'm going to freak out, because that's just such a great moment. But yeah, I love getting Atsumu's character developed in this episode, seeing the twins, seeing Iran's development there, seeing the announcer, foreshadowing when Osama's like, you just like volleyball a teensy bit more. And I almost said, I was like, oh, because you're going to quit later, and that's going to be a big contesting thing. Oh. But Kinoshita and Nishinoya, that part was so, so good. I loved it so much. It was so great. And, oh man, I just loved it. And so, I don't know. Just looking, there is one that I did want to notice, that I did want to note on here that I thought was really, really interesting. And that is, that is the Limbo King. I said it during the episode and I was like, oh crap, that's a spoiler. I shouldn't have said anything, but it was too late now. But I did want to note on here that we get this nice panel right here of Atsumu doing the limbo, basically, to get the sets. And if y'all watched my last episode or the episode before it, Atsumu likes that squatting pose. He really likes it when he does his sets, and I'm not complaining. But yeah, I just, that was really good to note. And man, at the end of this episode, when Kageyama was like, I'm glad I came here too, I just thought to myself, I'm like, we're getting so much closer. We are getting closer to, we're going to go back to Tanaka. Tanaka's going to have another moment. But Kageyama, more importantly, we're going to have the thing of trust. And I don't know if y'all keep up with spoilers with Haikyuu or not, but Shonen Jump, and they did an exhibition thing with Haikyuu, and they released a setter poster. And I've got a picture of it right here. But the setter poster just shows some of the setters from Haikyuu and what they represent. Atsumu represents love, which is what the title of chapter 279 that we end on is called. It's called Love. And I adore that because it makes so much sense. Atsumu loves volleyball. He loves being a setter. He loves making perfect sets to his players. But he also loves. He's surprisingly a compassionate person, even though he seems like a jerk. So I love that his theme as a setter is love. Kageyama's is Oikawa's is insight, which is very, very, very good. And I'm going to include this one picture too of Atsumu from that chapter, and it's Osamu saying, the thing is, Atsumu, when it comes to the love of the game, that flame burns a bit brighter in you than me, you know. And yeah, he loves volleyball just a little bit more. So I love that his theme is love. But anyway, I'll just post a picture here with the Japanese on it. I don't have the translation offhand, but it's on Twitter. But I'm trying to remember these. Kinma's is bewitching, which makes sense. Sugawara's is sincerity, because that makes a lot of sense too. Akashi's is devotion, which when we get to Akashi and Bokudo and their game, and Akashi's devotion to Bokudo, I may lose it because I'm a big Bokuaka shipper, so I'm like, it's over. But my point is, Kageyama's is trust or threat, and it can either be trust or threat depending on how you interpret it. But that is going to come and play the next episode when Kageyama is like, I trust my teammates and I trust that you're going to score based off the set that I give you. And Tanaka makes the comment that it's not only trust, it's a threat. Like, you're either going to do good or have to deal with me. And it's the king laying down the gauntlet. And oh my gosh, I'm so ready for it. I'm ready for the Okawa cameo. I'm like crossing my fingers, lighting all the candles, be like, please happen. I need this. But I'm so excited for it. But yeah, There's so many allusions to things that when we get to the Misby Black Jackal games later on, it's all going to come back and resurface. And I forget how much is set up in these national games that by the end of the manga is going to come back and be important. And that's so exciting to me because Furodate, man, his foreshadowing is just on point. And someone commented in the last episode that Atsumu's cold foreshadowing Hinata's fever. It's like, yeah, all the foreshadowing, so much. But gosh, this episode was just so good. Very happy with it. Very happy with how it was. We've only got 4 episodes left, y'all, and we're only at 8 to 10. I've not read ahead because I like reading right after the episode, but we're only on chapter 279, and I'm pretty sure this match ends at 290, so we still have 11 chapters. So if they're doing 3 chapters per episode like this, then it's going to finish out the end of the season, which I think is what they wanted to do all along. Here's the thing. There's been a little bit of inconsistency in the manga of how much exposition and how much action shots Furodate's placed in this match. Because there's parts of the match that are just straight up action shots overall. And then there's parts like this episode where we get so much backstory on the Miyas and so much backstory on Nishinoya that it fills up a lot of text and it takes more time to explain. Like last episode, there was a big chunk about Mika and Daisho explaining the rotations. And that takes up a lot of time and space in the chapter as well. So it's been a little bit like a roller coaster, this match, of how the exposition is paced out. And I'm wondering if the animation studio was like, how are we going to pace this rest of the season when this match is so all over the place and we want to end it by the end of the season? So I'm hoping they keep up this pace and that we end the match in episode 24 and then we have episode 25 to kind of recap and prep for the Nekomo match. But if they keep everything like this episode and last episode, I feel pretty good about Haikyuu right now. So I hope you all enjoyed this reaction. I hope you all, please comment down below. Please tag any spoilers that you've got. This episode was just, there's so much that I need to wrap my brain around because so much was happening, but such a feel-good episode. Like, and everything setting up with the twins. Like, I know it's all going to come back later on too. Like, mwah, so good. But in any case, I hope you all have a wonderful week. Enjoy it. Stay safe. Take care. And we will be back next Friday, Black Friday, with episode 22, Pittance. And if I'm thinking of what it is going to happen, it's going to be a good Black Friday. So I hope you all have a great week. Stay safe, take care, and I'll talk to you all again soon with more Haikyuu.